Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, I am here with you today to tell you the fascinating, inspirational, true story of one of the most catastrophic culinary conflagrations ever to grace the faux granite countertops of this great nation of ours. I am speaking of the great cottage cheese explosion of 1980. 2 lessons were learned that day. First lesson, always handle dairy products with extreme caution. Second lesson, well, this lesson just may help you in your daily lives if you pay attention. It was a Sunday morning, 6:30 a.m. Back in those days, I had 2 roommates, Mark and Randy. Randy was a drummer in a country western band, and at 6:30 in the morning, he's just getting back home from his gig Saturday night. Mark worked 3rd shift in a gas station as a petroleum transfer technician, or nozzle jockey, as we called him. Well, he's arriving home at about the same time, and Mark and Randy are hungry, but neither one of them know how to cook. Couldn't make a sandwich on a bed. So they did what roommates do. They found the roommate who can cook, drug him out of bed, and shoved him into the kitchen. And they demanded lasagna at 6:30 in the morning. Now, any sane person would have completely negated the incident by running, screaming out the back door. But no, they had tasked me. Like the great white whale had to Captain Ahab, they had tasked me and set me on course for a disastrous destination because they knew that I was proud of my cooking. And lasagna was my specialty. So in the kitchen I'm doing. All right. I'm in there and I've got the noodles boiling and I'm grating cheese and I'm draining the noodles and Mark and Randy are watching. And I'm laying the noodles out into the pan. And the next layer is ricotta cheese. Well, I didn't have any. So I substituted cottage cheese. Sidebar. I don't know why any purveyor of fine dairy products in this nation should be allowed to package cottage cheese in a giant 2-pound container, and therefore they should be held responsible for what is about to happen. Back to our story. Okay, I'm laying the noodles out in the pan. I've got the sauce bubbling, I'm fiddling with the oven, I'm grating the cheese, I've laid the noodles out, and I reach in the fridge and I grab the giant 2-pound container of cottage cheese. Here I have to go into slow motion because I have got the lid of the container. The container, however, is now plummeting towards the floor. So I move as fast as I can to grab it, and I get my hand under it, and I have now succeeded in sending it upwards towards the ceiling in a ballistic arc, headed out and towards Mark and Randy. So I'm running after it as fast as I can in what turned out to be a vain effort to keep it from hitting the floor because, bam, there, it hit the floor, standing upright. Now we have to have a short physics lesson. In something called the perfect elastic collision. That's when one object strikes another object in such a way that the kinetic energy is completely transferred to the other object. Just like those little steel balls on your boss's desk. Well, that's what happened here. The kinetic energy of the cottage cheese was transmitted into the floor. Well, the floor can't accept that much energy that fast, so it reflects it back into the container, creating a cottage cheese cannon, firing the contents upward with terrific velocity. Now, remember where I was? So where's the cottage cheese? Impacted in copious amounts across my face. It's in my hair, it's in my ears, it's way up my nose. And it's raining down about the kitchen in what is a fresh dairy product fallout all over Mark and Randy. But they're hysterical with laughter. They've never seen anything so funny in all their lives. But I'm not happy. I'm standing there with my arms folded. cheesed. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. I had failed at something of which I was proud. My cooking was important to me, and I had failed. You know, failure in our lives is a big theme. Fear of public speaking is noted as even more fearful than the fear of death. But I say it's not public speaking we fear, it's the fear of public humiliation. We all remember that time back in the schoolyard when we did something stupid and everybody was laughing and pointing and we just wanted to shrink down real small and disappear and we couldn't. Well, what we need to do is learn to laugh with others, at ourselves, not take ourselves too seriously. And Toastmasters gives you just the place to do that in a safe environment. Because I've had many failures, both in the kitchen and out. And every time that failure has caused me embarrassment and anger and humiliation, it's because I have forgotten the lesson I learned from the great cottage cheese explosion of 1980. And that lesson, my friends, is when you have failed at something that's important to you, and you are upset, and you are embarrassed, and you're standing there completely covered with curds, just say, "No way."
Thanks.